So, if you've seen some of my past videos, you may know that I'm a fan of Anbernic and their handheld emulation devices. I picked up and reviewed a couple of their devices in the past, the RG35XX and the fairly recent RG Arc D. Well, about a week ago, Anbernic announced yet another handheld. Well, it seems like they do this every couple of weeks, but this one might be their most powerful one yet. And I'll tell you all about it right after this. Well, before we get in and get started, I just want to say thank you as always for checking out this video. I really do appreciate it. And if you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, go ahead and do that. Click the notification bell if you want to be notified every time I put up a new video. Give this one a thumbs up and leave a comment below if you want to be part of the conversation. So as I said in the beginning, I do really like Anbernic and their handheld devices. I think they really hit a nice dose of both nostalgia and functionality, and I happen to own two of them that I've reviewed in the past. The first one I picked up was this one, the RG35XX. I love the Game Boy aesthetic of it, and it works really great for playing a lot of those old school handheld devices. The next one I wound up getting is the RG Arc D. This is a dual boot machine that lets you play on both a Linux and Android-based gaming system, and can play a few more powerful games than the 35XX. And again, I do like the handheld form factor of it. It's got an almost Genesis, Sega Saturn kind of aesthetic to it. It's too bad it doesn't play Saturn games very well, but I do like the overall look of it and the way it plays. Well, like I said, Anbernic has announced their latest one, although at this point I don't believe we have a price or release date, but it looks like it might be their most powerful one yet, and you're going to be surprised at some of the games it allows you to play. Let's check it out. So just about a week ago, Anbernic dropped this video showing off their latest release, the RG Cube. You can see it's going to have dual analog sticks on it with that RGB lighting underneath it. Typically, you've got, your shoulder buttons, your trigger buttons, things like that. And it's got a really almost handheld GameCube-like aesthetic to it, which I think is really interesting when you see some of the games that this is going to allow you to play. So along with that trailer video, this is the announcement on Anbernic's website. Get your game on, meet the Anbernic RG Cube. And we can see here with this picture, let me see if I can blow it up at all. So real quick, taking that picture from their website and just blowing it up, we can get a slightly better look at what the system is going to look like. You can see it looks like they're going to put it out in a variety of colors. Anbernic tends to do that. You can see you've got your screen in the middle here. You've got two analog sticks here that are going to have RGB lighting around them. You've got your D-pad, you've got your ABXY button. There's going to be two trigger, two shoulder buttons. Some other buttons down here, probably like a start and menu. Not sure what the other ones are going to do on them. But let's go back to the website and get a little more info on what this is all about. So here's what their announcement has to say. We are thrilled to announce the arrival of our latest handheld gaming console, Anbernic RG Cube. This innovative device combines classic gaming charm with modern technology, delivering an unparalleled gaming experience for enthusiasts of all ages. So moving down to the specs, you can see why there's a lot of reason to be excited about this. Obviously, like I said, it's going to come in a variety of colors: white, purple, gray, and black. It's a 3.95-inch IPS screen, multi-touch resolution 720 by 720, so a decent resolution on it, and it is going to be a touch screen. Now, I'm not that familiar with this processor. I might have to do a little bit more research on the power behind it, but I'll kind of get into that a little bit more in just a minute. This Unisoc T820 processor, 8-core. GPU is going to be a quad-core Mali G57 at 850 megahertz. Again, I'm not super familiar with those particular processors, but you'll see why I'm excited for this in just a couple of minutes as we continue on. A decent amount of RAM, 8 gigabytes LPDDR4X, 128 gig of storage, and of course you'll probably also be able to put an SD card in it for more. It's going to be Android based, and it's going to run off of Android 13, which is a fairly recent version of Android. Of course, it's going to have full Wi-Fi and Bluetooth support. It's not only going to support emulation from 30 plus emulators, but Android games. So taking games like Genshin Impact, Honor of Kings, Fortnite, those kind of games on the go on a system like this is something you'll be able to do. Of course, multi-language support, dual speakers, supports SD cards up to 2 terabytes, 5200 milliamp battery. They say 7 hours. Again, we'll have to see how much that is actual true in real usage. Supports 5-volt 2-amp charging, approximately 3 hours to fully charge. It would be nice if they could start to get some of these units to do fast charging on them like modern cell phones do, but still not bad. You've got the RGB lighting effects that we talked about, 60 million colors, and some of the other functions include a built-in Hall joystick, AX-axis gyroscope sensors, Hall triggers, so really nice joysticks, really nice triggers on this. A high-speed fan and active heat dissipation, probably need that for as powerful as that processor I think is going to wind up being. You can have online multiplayer on it. Wireless screencasting, that's kind of neat. USB Type-C support, 1080p DisplayPort output, a vibration motor, headphones, a lot of the usual stuff that Anbernic is known for. Plus, I think a few neat things like, wireless screencasting and things like that. But I'll show you one of the things that really got me excited for this was not just their little teaser video showing off the unit itself, but they actually dropped a gameplay video as well. Let's see some of the games that this thing will allow you to play. So again, here is a look at some of the gameplay from this. And this was one of the things that really struck me right off the bat, was playing 3DS games on this. Now, 3DS games don't necessarily require the most stringent processor, but they do require more than a DS or a Game Boy and things like that. And the fact that it's got a touchscreen on it means that you'll probably be able to use that touchscreen to play the bottom portion down here, just like you would on a real DS, which should make it kind of fun to be able to play some of those old 3DS games on a system like this. Of course, I touched on the fact that it's Android-based, so it will allow you to play Android games, and it looks like it plays them pretty well just from this little teaser trailer that they've got on. So, and if you want to take some of your Android games on the go and play it on something like this, give your cell phone a break, that's something you could do as well. And of course, here's where things start to get interesting, because now you see it running PS2 games, like God of War 2 here, and it looks like they run really good. Dawn of Dreams, I'm not familiar with. This looks like a Japanese game, but you can see it runs really smooth on this screen here. Downhill Domination. So, yeah, it looks like it's going to be capable of playing PS2 games really, really well. Of course, if it can handle 3DS, of course it can handle the original DS. Not quite as powerful as the 3DS, but again, having something in a form factor like this with a touch screen, I think would be really cool. Now we get into Wii games. This is playing a Dragon Ball game on Wii. Now, Wii, of course, being a little bit difficult because you're not going to have access to the Wii controllers playing on this, but there are a lot of games that you can play that don't require a lot of that motion stuff. Now we get into GameCube games. Here's Twilight Princess playing on it. So again, I think this handheld has kind of a GameCube aesthetic to it, so being able to play GameCube games is going to be kind of cool. Now we get into Dreamcast. Again, some of their older things. Dreamcast isn't as hard to emulate, but the fact that this will play it is pretty cool. N64 games, again, very difficult to emulate. So if this can play a handful of good N64 games, there you go. Of course, here it is playing a Sega Saturn game. And I was very disappointed that this didn't play Saturn very well. So if this thing can handle Sega Saturn games, that's going to be pretty cool. And then, of course, you've got PS1 games. If you can do PS2, of course, you can do PS1. That's not that difficult to do. But it looks like you're going to have a really good variety of systems, newer systems that this can play that you're not necessarily going to, be able to play on some of their older systems. Again, here's a Game Boy Color game. Again, a lot of their older systems can play stuff like that. Varcade I'm not that familiar with, but of course, older arcade games and stuff like that are going to play on this just fine as well. Now, this is a neat feature, is Wi-Fi streaming to PC, Bloodstained Ritual Night. Playing it on your TV wirelessly, I think, is actually kind of really cool. You've got Wi-Fi support for multiplayer, so you can play against other people in multiplayer, again, another neat feature for something like this. And USB Type-C support for 1080p DisplayPort output, so hooked up to your TV through a wire as well. So a lot of options to be able to play this. And there you have it. That is a look at Anbernic's latest announcement, their RG Cube. Now, as far as I can tell, I don't think that there is an official release date or price on this yet. So I'm going to be watching this one very closely to see what this comes out as. Anbernic is usually very reasonably priced. I believe I picked this up for around 50 bucks, maybe under that. The Arc D was a little bit more than that, somewhere around 60, 70, but still not bad priced. If this thing comes in at a reasonable price, then it's definitely worth a pickup. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm guessing it's going to be maybe somewhere in the 150 range. I hope it's not close to 200. If it's 150 or less, then again, to be able to play some of the games that it plays on the go, I think is going to be fantastic. There aren't too many systems out there that can handle PS2, GameCube, Wii games like this. Sega Saturn games like this looks like it's going to be able to play. Now, of course, jury will be out on seeing how well it plays all of those games once it comes out. Is it only capable of handling certain games, some of them up to a point? You know, we'll just have to wait and see. The fact that it's got the dual analog sticks makes it easier to play some of those newer games, PS2, Wii, and whatever that required analog sticks, N64, you know, things like that. So, again, wait a minute. Before I stop this video, yes, I'm breaking into my own video for a second here, because as I was editing this, as I was putting it together, getting it ready to go out, I ran across another device from Anbernic that I forgot about, and I just want to show this off real quick. So just real quick before I end this video, this is the Anbernic RG 556. This is another fairly recent handheld that they put out. And this actually has a lot of the same features, including the same chipset that the RG Cube is going to have. So you can see from the specs that this one has that same Unisoc T820 processor, the same GPU, really basically the same specs as what this RG Cube is going to be. The biggest difference here being the screen. The screen on the RG556 is a 5.48-inch AMOLED screen at 1080p. Now that RG556 can currently be had for about $166. So I think when I said that this would probably be $150, maybe a little bit under for the RG Cube, I'm probably right on with that. If the biggest difference between the two is the screen, I have to assume that an almost 6-inch AMOLED screen is going to cost more than a 4-inch IPS screen. And that's going to be the big difference between the two. But otherwise, the specs are very similar. They probably play a lot of the same games. I'm still more excited for that RG Cube because I think the screen aspect on it, on the 4-inch screen there, that 4:3 aspect is going to lend itself to older retro games more than that widescreen AMOLED. But I did want to point that out because I know there's a lot of people who really like Anbernic, and I'm sure that many of you would have pointed out that that one was already out there, that had similar specs, but I wanted to throw that in at the end of this video to say, yes, I know about it, and like I said, it does look like a very similar machine, but I still am very excited for this RG Cube, just based on its overall looks and the different screen aspect on it. So, back to the end of the other video. I'm excited to hopefully get my hands on one at some point and check it out. Anbernic, if you're watching this video, I'd love to get a chance to review one. But if not, like I said, if it's reasonably priced, I will pick one up and check it out because I'm excited to see all of these systems that it can play. A lot of things that aren't going to be playable on the ones that I already own. So, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Are you a fan of Anbernic? Do you like these handheld emulation systems? And if so, does this look like one you'd be interested in picking up? Let me know your thoughts below. And that's going to do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give me one of those thumbs up. Give me a like. It definitely helps out the channel. Subscribe if you haven't yet. And of course, leave me those comments. That's all for now. I will see you guys on the next one. Happy gaming and take care.